Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. Welcome to day 101 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where you brew up the coffee. That's step one. Step two is then we brew up the magic. We discuss all things Magic the Gathering going on in the culture. Oh, there's got to be another controversy. How can Magic go 2 days without a controversy? We talk everything Magic the Gathering on this channel. Also, huge shout outs to all the construction workers right outside my window. I really appreciate them in the morning. Let's thank them as well. So, brew up your cup of magic. Whether you know my coffee, I know I really need it because these people wake me up. What can I say? And let's talk great Magic the Gathering today. What can be said right now? Modern. I get the sense from the community that people don't know if Modern is in a good spot or not. I think for people who have not been playing for like a year, they get the impression that Modern is in a lot of trouble. Oh, there's all these powerful cards in Omnath and they didn't ban Uro, blah, 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 blah. I actually disagree. I actually think Modern is an incredibly good spot. I think most people who are streaming right now actually agree that Modern is doing very well, very healthy. It's probably the most dynamic, diverse, and still flowing format with no clear dominant deck. There was like a month ago some very clear best decks, but now there's like a lot of variety. I mean, there was a lot of prowess at one point, and then Boggles sort of stepped up to meet them, and now we're actually seeing a resurgence of Shadow, probably because of Scourge of the Skyclaves. This is a card that put a huge boost to all variations of Shadow decks. We knew that this was going to be like a card, but we didn't. I didn't know that almost every single Death Shadow deck was going to play this, and also new Shadow decks are playing this, which is now like the Shadow Prowess deck that we also have. So for the most part, like Modern is incredibly good right now. There's a lot of different archetypes, and for the people who said, "Oh, Control is dead," Blue-White Control is actually up on the rise. It's on the up and up. It's come to go chew up all those combo decks. Good day, Panch Hernandez. Waiting for your Simic content. The Simic content, I guess we'll play. Maybe we'll play some Simic on Wednesday. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I definitely want to. I got to explore Simic in today's metagame. I was all in on Glasspool Mimic, which by the way is pretty damn good. I've like focused all my content around Glasspool Mimic because it's like the hot new thing. Definitely a fantastic boost to the what's it called? The mono blue version of Merfolk. However, I not super convinced that this card can be jammed in Simic Merfolk. I had a discussion in the Fish Discord about this. Why not Glasspool Mimic in Simic Merfolk? So first off, Simic. Okay, let's talk Mirror Regery versus Merfolk Mistbinder. What are the differences? One problem with Mirror Regery is that it costs more mana, but it is a strictly better card. Let's get Mirror Regery versus... Huh? Oh. Oh, it's Regery. I don't know how to spell my own Merfolk cards. Mirror Regery versus Merfolk Mistbinder. Between these two, Regery is just an outright better card by all metrics, really. Gives all the other Merfolk +1/+1, but whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you can tap or untap target permanent. So you can tap down your opponent's blockers, or you can untap your own lands and empty your hand and catch up on tempo. Merfolk Mistbinder, you have to play an additional color in order to cast Merfolk Mistbinder, and all it does is give other creatures +1/+1. The benefit, however, to playing Merfolk Mistbinder, the benefit is that it only costs 2 mana. And do you know what? That is relevant. Like that is super, super important in Modern, especially if you want to have a very lean, aggressive deck like Simic Merfolk. Now, one huge advantage for Glasspool Mimic is that it does help you reach 3 mana more often. If you play 18 lands and 4 Glasspool Mimic, you're going to get to that 3rd land drop more often. So what deck is going to benefit more from the third land drop? Would it be mono blue with Mararegery, or would it be Simic? And in my opinion, if you're going to have more lands in play more often, I actually think it's going to be Mararegery by a landslide. And here's my biggest problem. So now, of course, Merfolk Mistbinder's advantage is that it costs less mana. But you're actually going to undermine that advantage with Glasspool Mimic, because this land comes into play very often tapped. Sorry, it comes into play every single time tapped. Slowing down your turn 1 place, slowing down your turn 2 place. So the advantages that you would get from Simic Merfolk, because a lot of people want to see me play. I played one league with this, and I'm like, this is clunky. This is so clunky in Simic Merfolk. Very, very clunky. When I play Simic Merfolk, I go on turn 1 play, turn 2 play, and keep it coming. And I don't want my curve to go above 3. I don't want to play a 3. I don't want to play a 3-drop. 3 drops imply that I have to have a third land in play. And if I have a third land in play, I'm actually down on cards because I have to have a third land in play. So if I'm going to have that third land in play, I would rather have Mararegery, because I can at least catch up on tempo by, well, in theory. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes they let your Regery live. You get to untap with the Regery, and then you get to unload your hand. So anyway, that's... Now, I'm not saying that you can't play Merfolk Mistbinder or Simic with Glasspool Mimic, but I like, in my mind, it's a non-bow. And on top of that, I know the mana base is really strained. We still have Ponza in the metagame. They still play Blood Moon / Magus of the Moon. You will be more vulnerable. Like right now, if you see I'm playing what I really like about playing Simic right now is I was able to play with 7 islands, and I wasn't that weak to Blood Moon. They can play their Blood Moon. I can still have a functional game. But if they play Blood Moon when I have Glasspool Mimics in my deck, I will be more vulnerable, because in order to fit the Glasspool Mimic, you have to take out the islands, because you can't take out any of the other green sources, because you need the minimum number of green sources in order to play Commander Speaker. So a lot of people are like, play Simic. I'm like, because I know it's I believe it's the Dogfish has a very good record, something like 80% with Simic Merfolk Glasspool Mimic, but I got the same record with Mono Blue, and I think it's much more. It's definitely a benefit. Glasspool Mimic definitely benefited the Simic Merfolk deck, but when I see it as an addition to Simic, it just looks like it's handicapping it. That's the way I look at it, because I played Simic all year and to incredibly good success. But anyway, those are my thoughts, because a lot of people want me to. I really don't want to invest much time. I just know how the games. I just know how I've played so much with Glasspool Mimic lately. I just know how the games play out. This land comes into play tapped too often, unless we don't play with so many Glasspool Mimics in Simic. We just play with like 2 and have 20 lands plus 2 Glasspool Mimics, so that we're not tampering with Simic's lean mana base. But then, do I want Glasspool Mimic or do I want Smuggler's Copter? Hard to tell. Hard to tell. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this situation between playing Simic or Mono Blue with Glasspool Mimic. And I repeat, this is a great benefit to the Mono Blue deck. I don't know if it is as good of a benefit to Simic, because like Simic was doing very well prior to Glasspool Mimic getting printed. I was going 5-0. I was making top 8 of Modern challenges. Throw Glasspool Mimic in it. Okay, you have Glasspool Mimic, but I don't think the deck generally, in my opinion, the deck doesn't get better. The deck doesn't get better. All right. Let's. Oh, I know. What else did I want to say about this card? We're definitely going to talk more about this card. Oops. Add stream. We're definitely going to talk more, because this card actually is now seeing play in Spirits, which is an incredible addition to the Spirits deck. Because I basically got crushed like a tin can the other day. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning, Mikey J. I know Panchanandis is waiting for that Simic with Glasspool. Change stream from podcast. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I know everyone thinks I'm a podcaster now. We're a Magic chat, but I'm really a Magic streamer now. Formerly a YouTuber. Good morning, Belada. And also thank you very much, Belada, for the 5 bits cheering day and night for this channel. Thanks for joining the conversation. Also, thank you very much. It's the morning magic. It's morning magic with Nikachu and the fish crew. This doesn't exactly rhyme, but maybe we can make it work one day. Simic Atlantis, good morning. Good morning, Realny. What's up, Kyoka620? Doing great. Do you think tribal decks like humans and spirits should be playing Glasspool Mimic? Probably not humans. Probably not humans. Like, again, humans has a similar situation as how I'm viewing Simic Merfolk. They don't really want more 3-drops. If you have a 3-drop, it better be good. Like, it better be really good. They can afford to play 3-drops, but I think they would rather not. Another problem with humans is that their mana base is not very good or accommodating for this card, because you need to play like Cavern of Souls, Rogue. You need to play not Ancient Ziggurat, Unclaimed Territory on Shapeshifter, or something to that effect. So their mana is more clunky. It's more playable than other cards that they like. I guess it's like on par with Phantasmal Image. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's not that bad. They're not going to have nearly as many explosive starts. Phantasmal Image gives more explosive starts, but Phantasmal Image is not, like, it's not resistant to anything. We all know that you just, the wind blows on it and it dies. Maybe it's explorable. Maybe they could try to play Glasspool Mimic in the deck. I never really thought about it. I know humans wants to be lean and low, but there is room to play 3-drops. Maybe Glasspool Mimic can be a replacement or a companion to Phantasmal Image. I don't know, it's a good thing to know. But spirits absolutely should be playing Glasspool Mimic. For like some very good reasons. First off, they don't even have many lords. So they have very few lords. They have Supreme Phantom. They have Supreme Phantom. This is one. Like, the thing is, Spirits doesn't have a million playables. They have this, and they have Drog Skull Captain. The Captain. This should have been the Drog Skull Captain. Other spirit creatures you control get +1/+1 and have hexproof. So they don't have many copies of Lords. They actually don't have that many playables. They're just starting to get more playables. They just got the Skyclave Apparition or something. Skyclave Apparition. So they're starting to develop the playables. But for the most part, they've been, especially Bant Spirits was playing with a lot of filler. They're playing with a lot of cards they didn't really want to play with. And now they're actually starting to get some good density. And do you know what? I think Glasspool Mimic is a really good card in a, a collected company deck. So if you want to go Coco with Spirits, this is a fantastic addition because it will help reach your land drops to get to collected company, while also being a potential threat in itself. They also have Burb Lord. Oh, well, yeah, they have Burb Lord, but like, that's better for Pioneer. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it doesn't get pumped up by or protected by things like Drog Skull Captain. Yeah, everything at 3 mana is rough. Vita says, did not like it in humans. Like, here's the deal. Humans already has a million cards. Humans is what I would call, how do I want to put this? Okay, maybe I'm trying to figure out how to coin this term. I want to say humans is a complete archetype. Whereas, and I would contrast that with, say, something like before Mill just got their last crab, I would say Mill was an incomplete archetype. For all the decks that are sort of on the fringe, or not even on the fringe, but like you can see that some slots could be better. There is definitely, like, for example, Merfolk does not have its 1-drop. So I could say that Merfolk is an incomplete archetype. I would say humans is a complete archetype. They have so many playables and so many good ones. Like, they have great playables that they don't have any more room for even a good, the bar is set so high to get into the humans deck that the card needs to be just mind-blowingly amazing. in order to break through into the 75. Glasspool Mimic, a great card, but for the humans deck, it's not special. They already use Phantasmal Image to really good effect. Glasspool Mimic is either going to be like a very marginal upgrade or a clunky upgrade. So yeah, that's I don't want to say solved because humans can change their slots here and there. I mean, I guess you could call it solved, but I want to say like I just want to say I just want to make like give some term to a deck that doesn't have enough playables to fill their 75. Or like good playables. Like there's a point where a deck has like they're just jammed with all good stuff. Like every card in the deck is good, and they don't have any filler because Merfolk right now has filler in it. And Spirits, I could say the same thing. More or less, Spirits also had filler. It was tier 1 at one point, but it was just like positioned at that one time. For the most part, it still had a lot of filler in it. Glasspool Mimic might help boost the Spirits deck. Mind-blowingly amazing, like a 3/4 that says your team wins combat absolutely. Already 5-0 under its belt. What are we talking about here? You would think Wizards of the Coast hates Merfolk as an archetype because they only print Merfolk that see play in other decks. Yeah, you're just baiting me. We see all the power. We see Thassa's Oracle. We see Emery was the latest Merfolk that also does not see play in our deck. Nice, just nice. The Walking Dead Rick card helped humans. Oh, really? That's already seeing play online? I had no idea. Oh yeah, the Skydiver. Well, Skydiver probably is going to see it play in our archetype, but it's not guaranteed. Let's see. There's definitely some comments I missed here. Are you recording a video? Why is that? I mean, I'm here live. We're doing this live. Suggestions on a legacy, playable, and modern legal list? For what? You gotta be more specific here. Are you talking about Merfolk? Simic when you gotta smash, mono blue when you don't feel like a splash. Interesting. Have you seen some of the shenanigans with Glasspool and Flicker Wisp? I have not. I mean, like, I'm aware of the shenanigans that can be had because the Merfolk community knows ghostly Flicker. I know the Merfolk community experimented with ghostly Flicker. So if you exile lands in play, like Umara Wizard or Glasspool Mimic, Glasspool Shores and Umara Shores, you can flicker them into the creatures. So you can do the same, definitely with Flicker Wisp in some of the lands. I didn't know that they're going down. I don't know how many Death and Taxes decks want to go down that route because clearly they already have, or are they playing with Glasspool Shores stock? What is Spider Space doing right now? Oops, MTG Goldfish. Because the thing is, Death and Taxes is doing really well right now. They have no reason to be bullshitting around with some stupid gimmicky stuff. So does he have... No, he dumped it because it's clunky. You're going to add white for no reason. So right now, Death and Taxes is probably tier 1. They had really good additions to the deck over the last year, both with Giver of Runes, but now is really come over the top with Skyclave Apparition. This card is a beating. It's basically just a removal spell. And then if you kill it, it's not like you get what you wanted back. You literally just get a token. Like it's really shitty for the person that got their thing stolen. And there are so many incredibly high impact things that you would want to take. Like you can take Oblivion Stone, you can take Expedition Map, you can take Maze Mine Tome, you can take Ether Vial, you can take any damn creature. You take the take that 12/12 Death Shadow away. So Skyclave Apparition is probably horribly underpriced at $10. What is this? Are we on Magic the Gathering Online prices? This card, you heard it here. It's going to blow up. This is going to be a white staple to a lot of archetypes. This is very, very powerful. And anyway, Death and Taxes is going to be on a super rise. This deck, Got a lot of really I don't know how good Archon of Emeria is in this deck, but 100% Skyclave Apparition was a massive boost to this deck. In addition to the unbanning of Stoneforge Mystic last year. Wow, it's been a year since the unbanning of Stoneforge Mystic. How time has flown. Feels like yesterday, doesn't it? Feels like yesterday. So while they can Flicker Wisp a Glasspool Mimic, like they can do that. This list is just really solid, really strong, and I don't see, if you were a Death and Taxes player, why you would want to fool around with anything else. This is just too strong of a list to be BSing around. And as we see, Spider Space is doing very well lately. 13th place, 5-0, 5-0. More 5-0s than this. They just don't all get published. They all don't get published. It's funny, Glasspool Mimic and Phantasmal Image don't share any creature types. Rick is like a 4-mana card that adds 11 power and first strike and lifelink. That is, you know what? The bar for a 4-power card in Legacy is pretty high. So that's impressive that Rick. Let's look up Rick. Is Rick in the database? It is Rick, Steadfast Leader. Now, I don't watch The Walking Dead, but this guy looks like he's drunk or something from Trailer Park Boys. This guy looks like some drunk guy out of Trailer Park Boys. Let me know if I'm anywhere close to the actual character. And given that, I don't know why he would be so damn strong. I mean, this is ridiculous. As Rick enters the battlefield, choose 2 abilities from among First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Humans you control each have the chosen abilities. Why would this person give Lifelink? As long as you control 4 or more humans you control get +2/+2. He's the leader of the gang. Oh, okay. Well, share them during deck review, Balada. Share them. I'm willing to see them all. Anyway, bar is pretty high for getting a 4. If the 4-mana card sees play in Legacy, that's pretty terrifying. Yeah, fuck it. We're going to do it live. Everything's done live. Have you been seeing a lot of Skyclave Apparition in your leagues? It's become a super annoying card to face. I've not seen a lot, but I know all the decks that are playing it, and it's probably if I've seen it out of Death and Taxes, and I've seen it out of Spirits, and if those decks start rising in popularity, then we're going to start seeing more Skyclave Apparition for sure. But I just haven't been seeing those decks the most. I've been seeing just an ungodly amount of Death Shadow, just tons of Death Shadow. Yes, you can flicker the Mimic to become another Flicker Wisp. Oh, so you flicker it, comes into play as a Flicker Wisp, then you can flicker something else. You can flicker your Flicker Wisp, it'll come back and flicker the Mimic, you can turn it into something else at instant speed. Or at the end, like at the end of the other person's turn? How does this work? Come into play, flicker your other Flicker Wisp, it leaves, comes back at end of turn, flicker your Glasspool Mimic, then at the end of your opponent's turn, you can flicker their Primeval Titan or something. Oh no, hold on, you can't copy your opponent's stuff, you can only copy your own stuff. You can just keep flickering your Flicker Wisps for eternity. Pseudo-phasing. Vanilla token is such a downgrade. It is terrible, those vanilla tokens. I got to use them last night. They were stealing my Copter, my Lords, and in exchange I got a 2/2 illusion token. That's just fantastic. I felt like that was so fair. I've seen some of the humans list running Apparition in the board. They're probably trying it. It may or may not work out because they've played with stuff like this, like Deputy of Detention. Maybe this is better. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. It's more. I don't know if it's more brutal on their mana. Maybe it's about the same. I mean, they have room to play an off-human 3-drop. It's just clunky. That's all. If Death and Taxes and Humans are gaining popularity, is Torpor Orb more appealing for fish sideboard? Can't Skyclave it at least? I'm not there yet, but it's possible. I'm not gonna take Torpor Orb off the table. It's definitely possible to put in the sideboard, but it need to be a lot of. It needs to be just more decks. I mean, literally, the metagame has to be filled with humans, filled with Death and Taxes. But right now, it's just a deck in the metagame, and I don't think it's so large. Or like, also, first, I don't even think humans is unbeatable. Like, I think I can beat if I play Simic Merfolk. I'm at least 50-50 against humans, so I don't mind too much the matchup. And against Death and Taxes, I don't know what my true win rate is yet. I'm not too terrified of Stoneforge Mystic, but I am terrified of Stoneforge Mystic if they can back it up with a Giver of Runes. And in addition, with Skyclave Apparition, it might be a very difficult matchup. But I don't know until I see it, and I just got to wait and play it out. But like, it's possible, but Torpor Orb is like narrow as hell. That's all I'm saying. Also, nice avatar. Got Soza there. Dan Snapbot those 3 foil apparitions while they're still hot. And getting hotter. Well, the heat is rising. Tonight I'm playing Merfolk and Paper. Wish me luck. Good luck. Why is Patton Oswalt in the background? I do not know. I don't even know any of the characters' names, so I don't know who Patton is. Card is OP as hell. What were they thinking? Well, they were thinking it was 4 mana. It would never see play in Legacy. So now there are actual factual actors on MTG cards. How long until someone is involved in a scandal or tweets something offensive and Wizard Codes has to ban the card? That's yet T- that had to happen, because that is most definitely going to happen. That's actually, you know what? That's an angle I never thought about, and I think that's an angle that Wizards never thought about. But maybe Wizards just doesn't care. They'll just ban the card, and they don't mind. They don't mind They do not mind banning the card if necessary. Rick makes you hate beer drinks like Thalia, bear dinks like Thalia, Meddling Mage, and Kaisil Freebooter into serious threats. Oh, yes. Okay. Turns all the little dinks into powerful things. With Shadow being so popular, maybe Isolate in the sideboard is an option now? Not really. So maybe, like, it's possible. Isolate is the 1 mana exile target, one mana permanent. Like, it's possible. Honestly, I'll just beat Shadow with like Harbinger of the Tides, which is also flexible against a lot more decks. Like, not to mention, like, they can Thoughtseize this, or if they don't have a Death Shadow out, it might be a bit narrow. Like, what if you're up against the Shadow deck, and then all of a sudden they play Scourge of Skyclaves and Tarmogoyf for Gurmag Angler, and you don't even see the Shadow. So this can end up being dead. So, like, when I like to have powerful but flexible answers against decks, it's very rare. Like, and I mean, I have done it, but I mean, I've played like the most narrow thing that I can think that I've played this last year was Damping Matrix, and it's very narrow. But there was a time where there was enough Hardened Scales Affinity and also enough Devoted Devastation in the metagame, and those matchups were just so bad for me that I decided to like shut them down with Damping Matrix. And actually, it was a little bit more flexible than I thought. I could bring it in against like Urza decks or just Urza decks in general. But like, it's very rare that I'll play with some ridiculously narrow sideboard card. I mean, maybe Isolate has more. Isolate should not actually be that narrow. Like, you can exile target permanent with Convert Mac 1. So you can hit like Champion of the Parish. You can hit. Well, here's the thing. If you want to play it for 1 mana, you need quite a few. You need at least 14 white sources in your deck in order to cast this thing, which means you're not playing Cavern of Souls. Tough to cast on the earlier turns of the game. Anyway, I think the card is good. I think it's just awkward. Okay, how about this? I don't know what you're referencing, so maybe for a Death and Taxes deck, this might be good. But For Merfolk, I think it's just way too awkward to play. Like, to make the mana for it. You can also use Eldrazi Displacer with Skyclave. Yes, you can. But I don't know if it's any better or worse than Wasteland Strangler, at least in my opinion. Though Skyclave can hit any permanent. Gotta play Lord of the Unreal to combat those Skyclave apparitions. Do you think it would be worth it to change my Mono Red Prowess list into the Death Shadow variant? Short term, yes. Long term, I don't know. Short term, yes. Long term, I don't know. Death Shadow is usually combated in the metagame. Usually people find the answers, like maybe enough Chalice of the Void decks are going to start rising up again, or maybe Eldrazi Tron is going to rise up to all these prowess Death Shadow decks. I don't know, because I think your prowess deck is very good right now. Is Death Shadow also good right now? Yes, but like, are you going to get that much bigger of an advantage to go Death Shadow? Probably not. M. Hayashi is doing really well with just Mono Red Prowess and no additions at all. I think he just like started adding Magus to the Moon to the deck. So I mean, I can't, like, you can go Death Shadow if you want to have fun or whatever. But like, what I'm trying to say is it worth it to buy all those cards? Like, are you going to improve your win rate by a whole lot? And probably not. Probably not. You could probably do just fine with just normal Mono Red Prowess. You can if you got the cards. It's a bit hard to run compared to Prowess if you've never played Death Shadow. Death Shadow is most definitely a completely different breed of deck. Good morning, chat, and good morning, Alchemist. Have you considered building a competitive Tymna EDH deck yet? Was Tymna? Oh, the Magpie. Well, I got a new. This might be the ultimate thieving Magpie. So I love creatures that deal damage then draw cards. And Tymna the Weaver has lifelink. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do draw X cards and as partner, I don't like the idea of paying the life, even though we got the lifelink. But what's the new one? They just made like an ultimate thieving Magpie card. What is it's from The Walking Dead. What's the new Walking Dead Magpie card? Or really the Ophidian card? Glenn. This card caught my eye. Skulk. I like that. Very difficult to block. Whenever Glenn deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to his power. Now, making him bigger is going to be difficult. So how many cards can I draw at the beginning of your post-combat main phase? You may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. So, like, in one-on-one, I can only draw one card. If it's 3-on-1, I could potentially draw 3 cards. Not too bad. But in theory, with a sword attached to Glenn or some sort of buff spell, I could draw 2, 3, maybe 4 cards in one shot. Anyway, this definitely caught my eye, and is more blue than this one. See, I can play blue. I can play counter spells with Glenn in EDH. I cannot do the same with Tymna. No hate for Tymna. Tymna does do a lot of things that dealing combat damage, drawing cards. I'm all about that. I love that. I wish there was a Merfolk that did that. I need a Merfolk that does that. Where is something about God's Shadow? Did he? Oh, just 5-0'd with Death and Taxes. Here it is. Well, he's not the only one. So here's more evidence of Death and Taxes doing really well. Oh, he's running Giant Killer. That's interesting. He's running Aetherstorm Canonist and main deck Auriok Champion, which I think is really good idea. Really good idea. Skyclave Apparition again. I don't believe in the Ranger Captain Vios. I think that's a bit fancy. But aside from that, we do see, and they can play for Relic of Progenitus. Clean the Death and Taxes deck right now. Very clean deck. Very nice deck. I think people who like Death and Taxes, they should be very happy to get into it. I wonder if that's going to increase the price of Stoneforge Mystic. Where's Stoneforge Mystic sitting at? No, this is just a rough estimation, but ooh, it's sitting at like $20. Stoneforge Mystic, in my opinion, is cheap. Card is pretty cheap right now. Grand Prix promo still hitting 31. It's definitely going to see more play now. Will happen first? These cards get banned for power level or getting banned for moral reasons? Probably getting banned for. You mean these particular cards from The Walking Dead or future versions? Because they definitely could ban cards for power reasons in the future, but I still don't think they're powerful enough that they're ban worthy. Like Rick still does not impress me. It's a legacy playable card, and it's strong and helped get a 5/0, but like that's okay because there's a lot of busted stuff that's strong. There's a lot of 4-mana cards that just end the game in legacy. So if these cards get banned, it would be for moral reasons, not for power level reasons. Nikachu, would you like the modern format where the minimum amount of cards that can be used is 50? You mean like a 50 card deck? What exactly do you mean by Ugly Hood Rat? I would say no, because I think we should be increasing the number of cards in the deck to decrease consistency. I think if the minimum is now 50, the decks are going to get even more stupid than it was before. Would it help Merfolk? Not necessarily, because reducing the number of cards in my deck does not make my 1-drops better. Actually, maybe it would help a little bit. I can't tell. But we still need a good 1-drop. Have you seen a lot of the Blood Chief's Thirst with all the shadow decks you've been playing against? Yes, I have seen a lot of Blood Chief's Thirst. Any deck playing black is playing that card. You see, Touch Stab, that card saw play. I knew there was a chance. I wasn't sure this was going to see play, but if I had to take a wild guess, if a card like this could see modern play, I picked this one. And it does see play. It sees play in Shadow, it sees play in Mill. Can't tell if I saw it. I think it saw play in Jund. It actually sees quite a bit of play. Everyone likes Blood Chief's Thirst. Sorcery speed. At 1 mana, sorcery speed is not so bad. Not so bad. Modern is so volatile. Its meta changes every week. That means it's healthy. If the meta changes constantly, that is a sign of a healthy metagame. It's when it like converges and there's like only like 2 top decks, and then everyone starts piling on to those 2 top decks because it's clearly the best deck. That's an unhealthy metagame. That is what we call a standard metagame. That's what you call standard out there. Community, we hate what you did with the Walking Dead Secret Lairs, Wizards of the Coast. The Secret Lairs and busted standard sets will continue until the morale improves. Also, here's some useless Merfolk. I know. Somehow Merfolk completely dodged Fire Design. I mean, they just printed some cards in Zendikar, and these are not Fire Design cards. They're not what I was hoping for with Merfolk. It's kind of crazy to me how Wizards of the Coast keeps one-upping their screw-ups. War into Oko, into Uro, Breach, Oracle, into Companions, into The Walking Dead. Oh, wait, well, they're just coming out. It's either that or they're coming out with more stuff more frequently, and they've been screwing up the same rate all along, but they're coming out with so much stuff, it just feels like it's all the screw-ups are coming out at once. All right, Blada has submitted a list, and I think right now is a good time to get into deck list review. So remember, if you would like your deck list reviewed, and I think this is going to be less of a review, and we'll just see what Balada has to share here today, because Balada has some budget dredge decks. I'd be interested in seeing. Let's see, hold on. So here we go, deck review. There we go. So while we wait for people to submit decks for deck review, if anyone has any submit, if you need some feedback on any of your lists, your brews that you're making up, submit it to deck review. We're going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is also supported by Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store. And the deal of the week this week is save up to 15% off old Double Master singles. So if you're looking to get into Legacy, you can get your Force of Wills. You can get your Jace the Mind Sculptors. We have Mana Crypt in here. So anything from Double Masters, 15% off. Go check them out. My favorite local game store. Remember, Canadian prices. It's a Canadian site. That's all I can say. Canadian, like, it looks like the prices are outrageous. It's because it's in Canadian dollars. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders. Mana Traders is the premier place for you to rent Magic cards online, and you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save 15% off your first 3 months by using my coupon code Nikachu. All right, let's see what we got for deck list review. Reality got here first. Okay, honestly, I think almost everything in the deck needs work. All right, that's some feedback. You know what? I think everything in the deck needs work. Hold on. Let me get this set up. Appears to be a Bogles deck. Going to look at Bogles. Bogles. Under $100 Bogles. All that glitter. Well, I don't think you're going to have too bad. Before even looking at this deck, usually the hardest thing to make work in a Bogles deck is just the mana base. The mana base is like the most expensive thing. The rest of it is easy. Because most of the cards are dirt cheap. I mean, they don't cost anything. You found budget for Daybreak Coronet, so Glade Cover Scout, 2 Core Spirit Dancer, 3 Sihilana Ledge Walker, 4 Slippery Bogle, and there's the mana base. I knew it. And that's the crux of the problem. Because at even 9 planes, it's very hard for you to cast this thing. For double white, what's double white on turn 3? What does Frank Karsten say? Frank Karsten, how many mana sources? Here we go. I think this is it. Frank Karsten has an updated version of this. Okay, let's say we play Daybreak Coronet by turn 3, which I think is ideal for something like this. So basically, I would just look at this. Oh, you still need 18. You still need 18 white sources. Okay, how about turn 4, 16? You need better mana. You need better mana. What budget lands do we have available? You honestly have to blow your budget on lands, and there's no way around it. Like, I don't mind anything in this deck. I mean, of course, it's fine. Maybe you can sell your Obstinate Balos and get some lands. You need lands. You need the Temple Gardens. You know what? I would take the Pathway. I would absolutely take the Pathway. It's better than nothing. Yeah, we like any budget lands I would take at this point. I would even play some of those crappy ETB tap lands. I would take a Pain Land. I would take Pain Land. I would take anything to make this mana base smoother. Our mana base is literally 10 forest, 9 plains. We need as many dual lands in this deck as possible. I will take anything. Like, there's nothing wrong with this deck. Your deck is great. Your mana sucks. It's as simple as that. Get Temple Garden before they creep up higher. I mean, and that's like it's pretty much a staple card, right? So Sun Petal Grove is like quite affordable. So like, what do we got? Like, what's Temple Garden right now? They're not cheap. $10 even for the Return to Ravnica one. That is like a crappy art too. What do we got? Sun Petal Grove has been printed a million times. Hopefully it's reasonable. Ooh, look at that beautiful Ixalan art. That is awesome. And $4. You need 4 of these. At least this. At least 4 Sun Petal Groves. Wooded Bastion, isn't that expensive? Like, Wooded Bastion is a great card, but... Oh, Double Masters, $4. Shadowmoor, $18. For that set symbol, you're going to pay like almost 4.5 times the price for that. Screw that. So get some Wooded Bastions. Wooded Bastion is definitely on the table. Filters just got reprinted. Maybe some Brushland. We can't. Okay, so we can't have too many of these because then Sun Petal Grove is always going to come into play tapped. So this is possible, but I think this is also not cheap. Like if I were to pay $5 for Brushland, I would go the extra distance and pay the $10 for the Temple Garden, which is just a better land. And you are going to be tapping these lands constantly. I know you want to be under $100, but you gotta spend like how much is this deck right now? Card Kingdom $100, TCG player $80, Card Hoarder 62 ticks. Like even before I saw the mana base, I could predict the problem. The problem with making Bogle's budget is you got the mana base and this deck will just do nothing. At 9 planes, you're going to have so many games where you just don't have a planes. Even at 10 forests, you're going to mulligan so much because you just don't have a forest in your hand. If so one thing you can, yeah, I think the new, okay, so if I were to have a really cheap answer, I would play the new modal lands. Is there a, what's the blue, is there a blue, is there a green white one? Because they didn't print all the modal lands. Help me, chat. As the saying goes, you gotta spend money to cast Bogles. Branch Loft. Wow, it still costs money. $3. This I definitely have nothing against this land. This will do. This will do. I would get 4 of these. That's $12. I would get Sun Petal Grove. It will break your budget. I would get 4 Sun Petal Grove, and I will be fine. And I would probably take out more forests than plains because you really need to get this Daybreak Coronet online. And most of the deck is white mana anyway. You only need 14. Like you need 14 green sources turn 1 just to even cast the Slippery Bogle. You don't even have that. But if you get if you get 4 Sun Petal Grove, 4 Branch Loft Pathway, I think we could make do. I think that'll be fine. I think I'll do it. It will work. Isn't the Savannah the cheapest? You'll know it's the most expensive. Yes, let's suggest a $224 dual land in all its glory. Look how beautiful it is. Glorious. Anyway, thank you very much for sharing the deck list. Deck is fine, mana is not, and and it will hold you back. You could change all the other slots in the deck all you want. You'll have just unstable mana, and you'll basically have so many non-games because your mana just doesn't matches. But I think those 2 lands, Sun Petal Grove and Branch Loft Pathway, are definitely in the right direction to making the deck still quite budget, but like a more stable mana base. Not perfect, but you know what? We're doing the best we can on a budget. Am I the only one who likes the striped text box on the original duels? I loved it. Maybe it's just an OG thing. I love that thing. They should bring it back. Yeah, they should bring it. There's no reason not to bring it back. It's not like that's on the reserve list. Only the old dual lands can have the striped box thing. Okay, so for anyone who come on, Bellata. Hopefully Bellata's picked next. Because Bellata created some sweet deck lists. Budget Dredge. I'm a huge fan of budget. Is Realny the only one in queue? No deck list review? What did you do, Bellata? You didn't really submit it. Looks like you submitted deck review. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I went to manually go get it. Okay, let's see. We have Undercity Dredge. Okay, let's see this list. So 60, like a little under 60 bucks, 60 ticks online. It's actually more expensive online. We've got Golgari Thug, Merchant of the Veil, Narcomoeba, Ox. I guess like the pieces are cheap. It's the mana base that's expensive. And I guess this is the main driver, the Undercity Informer. Is this going to have... Oh, it's going to have no lands. No, it's going to have some lands. Some lands. Sacrifice a creature, target player reveals cards from the top of their library till they reveal a land card, then puts those cards into his or her graveyard. And of course, we're playing with a lot of the spell lands. Maybe should we play Bagata? Should we be playing with more spell lands here? You need a few to not deck yourself. Yeah, but you can have like 2. You know, if you have 2 lands, I think it would be ideal that you at least. Well, maybe, I mean, I guess if you might mill over one of them during dredging. I don't know how to put lands back into the deck. We have an instant. Malakir Rebirth. Choose target creature. You lose 2 life until end of turn. That creature gains. So when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. And Spikefield Hazard. Oh, this is also. These are just. Is this? Yeah, this is also. It's just in here for mana. I got fooled. I got tricked. All right. So here is a way of playing Dredge. I'm surprised these lands aren't creeping up in price, given the fact that they're basically lands plus spells attached. But here is a way of playing Dredge on a budget. What is the cost of a Dredge deck normally? Did you say budget? I did say budget. Look, this deck is is less than 60 bucks. 60 bucks online, less than 60 bucks on paper. Agadim is not budget, it's 15 plus. This is true. What the hell is going on here? It's like $20 on Card Kingdom. And there's 4 of them in this deck. So how does this deck actually sit here? The deck is 100 ticks. Is it? What are these suggestions here? What are these prices? Is it just BSing me? Where do they get where do they get their prices? Thanks for pointing that out, Pride of the Wolves. Okay, so this is 100 bucks on Magic the Gathering Online. What is the price of a normal Dredge deck? Let's look up Sodak. I don't think Tapped Out can handle the modal dual face lands. Okay, so a Dredge deck will, on average, be around 500 bucks, 500 to 600. That seems to be its range. All right, so if you want to just go $100, this is how you can do it. So basically, you're replacing with some of its lands. Is this mandatory? Is there no other way we can... Like, it needs mostly red mana, right? It doesn't actually... I don't think it needs the black... Well, I guess it needs some black mana to cast Undercity Informer. All right, so this is an online budget deck. So if anyone's interested, and I do approve of any of the budget options. You know, I always ask people, like the big players, like, is there any way to make a deck budget? And maybe in the past, like Dredge was never been able to make budget, but now because of these new lands, because the mana base for Dredge is expensive. If I'm not mistaken, it's like oh wait a minute, I'm looking at like a lot of ad nauseum. Where's the Dredge? Dredge is like $600-$700. Okay, so let's look at this Dredge list. If I'm not mistaken, most of the money is in the lands. It's like here's the creature base, worthless. Okay, Life from the Loam costs money, but then we get to the mana base because it's mostly fetches and shocks and not Gemstone Caverns. Although Gemstone Caverns is money, that is some serious money. $50. And where is the... I thought there was another land that was really expensive. I guess not. It does, anyway. Here's a new... Thank you very much, Balada, for submitting the deck list, showing people that there is another way. There is another way of playing Dredge. If you want to get into Dredge, but you don't want to fork over like $600-$700, this is a way that can be done. Trying to make Dredge a deck that use the new spell lands to help accelerate fill the graveyard. I think this is definitely a way you can do it. Use creeping... Hold on, where's the creeping chill? Here it is. Okay. I'm satisfied. Sweet. Thank you very much for submitting the deck list, Balada. And for anyone out there who wants to play Dredge on a budget, that's how you do it. Okay, so Balada is sharing also another one. This is 35 ticks. Getting even cheaper. Oh, budget Living End? Because it can do the same thing. Archfiend. This looks so similar to what I saw yesterday. Blood Crypt. Beast Within, Violent Outburst. Well, this just looks like a normal... What makes this deck budget? This looks like a normal Living End deck. Fabled Passage? Does the deck really want to play with Fabled Passage? I know it's cheap. Honestly, I think you could get away with, like, Rootbound Crag and stuff like that. Mountain, Overgrown Tomb, 2 Stomping Ground, 4 Swamp. Because this is not going to come into play... I guess you could play it, because you can still sack it at end of turn. The mana base is cheap, and that's what makes it cheap. Budget Living End. All right. That's how you... Well, I mean, that's generally the way to make, like, a lot of decks budget. You just gut the mana base. But you can't... you can do that with Dredge, it seems. You can definitely do that with Living End. Living End does not need the mana base that it has, but you can't do that with Boggles. Boggles has too few lands, and they're so the deck is so mana hungry. But how is the win rate compared to the tier version? It's always going to be worse. But is it so much worse that you can't play it at F&M? Is it so much worse that you can't play it in a league? Like, on Wednesday, I'm going to play Budget Merfolk, because I haven't played a Budget Merfolk league in quite a while. And a lot of people have been asking me, because a lot of people are like, okay, everyone in chat, what is the budget replacement to Force and Negation? Because this is like the #1 question online and in my comment section and on Reddit and in the Fish Discord. I don't know about the Fish Discord. I don't follow it that closely, but in the spaces that I'm in the most, I'll let everyone guess, and we'll see. Because everyone's like, I can't afford Force Negation. What should I replace it with? You could cut Burn to mono red, or just go Storm for budget combo as well. Oh, there's a replacement. I mean, you're not going to have Force Negation, but like, you're going to have a good, powerful counter spell in its place. Anyway, I think enough people guessed. Pride of the Wolves and Matt Matta got it. It's Deprive. Deprive is... I think Deprive is not far from the power level of Force Negation right now. Honestly, I don't even like Force Negation all that much. I mean, I'll still play it, but if you banned Force Negation tomorrow, I'll play Deprive, and I'm not even going to complain all that much. The only advantage I have with Force Negation is I have more room to tap out. and it helps with Simic Merfolk. I can tap out and apply more pressure and still have a counter up. But especially for mono blue, and especially for budget builds like mono blue, like Deprive is just good. Is very, very good. There's a lot of situations that you want Deprive over Force Negation anyway. And if I didn't have my slots filled up in my sideboard with Force Negation, I would just play Deprive. It's very similar. It's close in power level. Force Negation is better. It's better. That's why I play it. But I would not say that Deprive is such a downgrade that the win rate of the deck would collapse. I would say this is definitely a good card. Good enough. Way more than good enough for me. You can main deck this card if you wanted to. You can main deck this card. Wizard's Retort is close too because you have 12 wizards. Yes, but I would say... So like this debate comes up a lot. What's better, Wizard's Retort or... Wizard's Retort or Deprive? And after years of playtesting, Deprive wins. There are too many times where you need to counter something on turn 2 and you don't have it available because you don't have a wizard in play. Because you didn't have a turn 1 play and you have Trickster in hand, but your opponent is about to kill you immediately on that turn and it's useless if your Trickster is in hand and not in play. So Deprive wins. Deprive just wins. Now, Wizard's Retort is a great Deprive number 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm not going to say Wizard's Retort is bad because it was close, but in the end, Deprive just won. So Wizard's Retort is close behind Deprive if you needed more counterspells, that's for sure. Would Counterspell replace both Deprive and Force Negation? It would definitely not replace Force Negation, but it probably will replace Deprive. Here's that funny thing. Like, they just printed Glasspool Shores, or Glasspool Mimic. And Glasspool Mimic and Deprive have great synergy together, like very good synergy, because the downside to Deprive is, as an additional cost to casting Deprive, you have to return a land to your hand and you get to counter a spell. With Glasspool Mimic, you can play it early as a land, and then later on in the game, you play Deprive, return the Glasspool Mimic back to your hand, and then recast it as a creature. So if they printed Counterspell tomorrow, I'd be like, why? Why are you printing these things at such awkward times? So anyway, it works. So anyway, so like Deprive has good synergy with Glasspool Mimic that Counterspell will not. Just won't. I haven't play tested it. I don't know. Maybe Counterspell will still be better. Maybe it'll still be better. So anyway, I'm gonna play a budget version of Merfolk. Deprive also has amazing art. It is actually quite a nice art. They don't make that art anymore. They print Counterspell because control decks need help. They need more help there. Control decks need even more help. Oh, hold on. Bellata had a green-red control deck. Okay. I'm just showing off all these decks from Bellata because I told him that I would. This is super... What is a super budget Ponza? Hey, super budget is 5 ticks. Let's get that straight. 5 ticks is super budget. Is this 5 ticks? No, it's 50. Can't even believe these names. Arbor Elf, Bloodbraid Elf, Bonecrusher Giant. I feel like this deck has expensive cards. Why Inferno Titan? Is Glorybringer expensive? It's $3. This is $1. I would just have another Glorybringer. Kitchen Fink, Scavenging Ooze, Tireless Tracker. Again, we're eating up the can't we play with like Rootbound Craig? Like, it's not... Is it that expensive? Well, it's not nothing. It's like $4. Do we have enough mountain? Do we have 7? We actually have a lot of forests. So we have we have actually probably enough forests. How many mountains do we need? This is probably fine. Maybe we could change some forests to mountains, but I think this mana base is probably actually going to work. Simple and elegant. Utopia is probably also fix the mana. Okay, we don't need anything else. Molten Rain, Pillage, Lightning Bolt, Budget Ponza. How expensive is this? 50 ticks. That's actually great. That's a great price point, and it actually looks almost identical to the deck. I wouldn't play Inferno Titan. I would just play another Glorybringer. How would Daze mess with modern? I feel like it would reinforce prowess decks if nothing else. Well, the prowess decks would need to add blue, which means they'd have to shock themselves more and take more damage. I think it'd be a very interesting card in Death Shadow. I think. I don't know for sure though. I think Daze would be fine in modern though. I think it would be fine. I don't think it would be broken or anything like that. All right. Thank you very much for everyone showing up. We had a great discussion. That'll be it for Coffee and MTG today. If I didn't get to your questions, if I didn't get to your deck list, don't worry. We do this every weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And don't worry, if you want to watch it live, twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. That's where I'm going to be. That's where everyone else is. That's where all the other cool kids are. The fact that so many of these budget decks are actually the full deck with a budget mana base is exactly why I started by collecting the 10 modern fetches, shocks, and fast lands. It means I can now get into any deck for $50 to $200. And actually, like, we had a discussion about that a little while, like a few months ago. I think Wizards' strategy with making the fetch lands rare, I think it was on purpose, because if they make the fetch lands rare, but the core cards affordable, then all you need to really do is buy the mana bases, and then you can build any deck around it. Like, I think that was Wizards' strategy, because they need to make sure that these decks are expensive, like within the range of like $500 to $1,000, and it's easier to control the mana bases instead of all the other cards. Like, I don't think people would be happy about Thoughtseize and Thoughtseize being $50 and, basically, any generic random cards, Snapcaster Mage being $80. I don't think people would like that at all. People don't like the cost of the fetch lands, but like Wizards is picking something to make expensive, and that's just the easiest for you to obtain. Anyway, that's what I think Wizards thinks when it comes to printing this stuff. Quantum Bird says would rather have it the other way around. So you would have a cheap mana base, but every single time you flip-flop to a deck, you have to like fork over $1,000 or $500. Days would be a problem with. I don't think Days would be a problem with Mystic Sanctuary. Mystic Sanctuary is what it is right now. It would be synergy. It would be great. It would be great synergy. But remember, Days gets really bad. Actually, I'll tell you this much. I don't think Days is going to be played in a Mystic Sanctuary deck. Seriously, it'll be like does Death Shadow play Mystic Sanctuary? It doesn't. Days is not a long-term game. It's not a long game card. It is a short game card. Expensive Vials, expensive Relics, Trickster at rare. Oof, yeah. Days is funny with Ren and 6? I don't quite get it. Anyway, who are we gonna raid? We gotta raid somebody. Let's see. We're gonna look out for the smallest streamers. You can pay the costs in any order, so you can discard the island you bounce. Oh, it's after it ultimates. I get it. I see. Interesting. I was like thinking, how does the deal damage or return land from the graveyard have any interaction with Days? Well, anyway, so I guess that is a thing in Legacy. That has to be a thing. Okay, who's playing Modern? We all know we're Modern players. I'm worst case scenario, I just raid Aspiring Spike. I think we can raid Trellin MTG, because Trellin, I believe, has raided me many times. So let's pay back the favor. He's playing Mono Best Tron. Okay, again, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. It was a great day. We had a great conversation, great deck lists, and I will see you at the next cup that we brew. See you next time, and enjoy Trellin from Trellin Magic the Gathering Online.